It's 1,007 degrees outside. The kids are going back to school. So we all know that that means that college football season is here. And a lot will be happening in this season as we have new coaches, new teams, and a lot of final moments happening for a lot of programs. So let's make a few predictions about what we think is going to go down this season. And if you're ready, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up or a thumbs down because it's your thumb, and let's go ahead and get into it. This season will include a lot of laughs, not only for seniors, fifth-year seniors, sixth-year seniors in college football this season, but 3 football programs in the American Athletic Conference as Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF will be leaving in 2023 to go join the Big 12. And if you would like to know how all that came to be, you can check out this video right here. I'll link it in the card and in the description that tells you all about conference realignment. And aside from those teams being on their last years, we have a few coaches making their debut in just head coaching and just at these new programs, as Lincoln Riley will be starting his time at USC after his dramatic of a fashion of leaving Oklahoma and literally taking their entire team with them. As well as Brian Kelly gets his debut at LSU after he just left Notre Dame in the middle of the night, the way it feels like. You have a few coaches making their first year debuts as Dan Lanning in Oregon. You have Brent Venables in Oklahoma. And there's just so much to be excited about on the personnel side of college football this season. It's time for me to get into the predictions. If you're new here, you should be aware that I'm very bad at making predictions, like criminally bad. So don't go placing bets on what I'm about to say because it's probably not going to happen. So now that you're warned, here we go. The first predictions we're going to make are who is going to win their conference championship game. And in the ACC, I have Miami. Now, you're probably like, girl, what are we doing? Why are we getting into this? And here's my explanation. They have a new coach. They are getting rid of the turnover chain. And I think they're really going back to focusing on football at Miami. Now, we know they were popping their collars for their turnover chain. It was a thing. It was a moment. It was an era. And now it's behind them, which I think they really need to do. Personally, I think Mario Cristobal made the greatest move ever and doing that. Because right now, football in Florida is hurting. The only thing people are interested in is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And that's because of Tom Brady. In the Pac-12, I have UCLA. Again, you're looking at me crazy, I know. But hear me out. They are always just right there in the fight of it. They have their returning quarterback in Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who had a pretty decent season last year. And they now have an incoming running back and that tandem team they can figure out. I think they could actually make a run. Now, in all honesty, I will be pulling for Utah again. I know I probably never thought I'd ever say those words in my life, but they just had such a great season last year. And yeah, they kind of are the front runner, but I didn't choose them to win the Pac-12 this year because last year they were playing off so many emotions from having 2 of their teammates die during this season. They had more to play for. And yeah, they could still play for those guys this season, but you know, it's like the moment's passed. They won the Pac-12. They got to the Rose Bowl, played in one of the best Rose Bowls game I ever saw. And I just don't think they're going to be able to find that fire again in their team. They could, but I just don't see it happening. And I think UCLA is just right there in the thick of it. In the Big Ten, I chose Ohio State, which was obviously the obvious answer. Yes. Look at that grammar, Ashleigh. Go off. After what I saw in that Rose Bowl game, after they got left out of the college football playoffs, I just feel like they could 100% win the national championship. The way they were playing between CJ Stroud coming back for, we all know is going to be his final year, Jackson Smith and Najimba coming back for what we all know is probably going to be his final year. They're going to have a lot that they want to accomplish, especially because they feel like they let themselves, their team, their program, and fans down last year. Nothing else really compares to what they have and the potential they can actually reach. When you look at everyone else in the Big Ten, they're losing big pieces of their program in this upcoming season, and they kind of have to rebuild. Yeah, it's not necessarily at quarterback for everyone, but their number 1 wide receivers, their DBs, their like main star captains on their team are leaving and they went to the NFL or they just graduated in general. And the fact that Ohio State is the kind of one team that's kind of saved everybody for the most part, I think that they have the best chance. Again, they did lose Garrett Wilson and a few other pieces, but for the most part, they're core May kind of stuck together, and they're just the scariest team out there for me in the Big Ten. I don't know who's gonna really win in the Big 12 because I think it's just so wide open. So I'm gonna predict who's gonna be playing in the game, and whoever wins between the two of them, good for them. I think it's going to be Oklahoma State between Oklahoma. Oklahoma literally has a new team because everyone else left and went to California behind Lincoln Riley. They have a coach who was there. You know, they're not starting off with like a complete stranger like some of these other teams are. And they still have pretty good talent to back it up. And the kids that are still there from last year got a lot of emotions behind it. They're kind of mad that half their team just left with the coach and that the coach just walked away probably. So I think that that's the fire they're going to be playing with. And then Oklahoma State, on the other hand, they were like really close up in there last year. And if I'm going to be 100% honest, who knows in the Big 12? It might be Texas versus Baylor in the conference championship game, all we know, because the Big 12 is such a wild card. It is such a wild card in a crock pot of who knows what. And for the very last conference, we have the SEC, the granddaddy of them all. And I know this is such an easy pick, but I really think Alabama's going to win this year. Now, a lot of people are probably going to give them trouble, like Texas A&M, Georgia, Auburn, all those teams. But I think Alabama was just so disappointed in how they played in that national championship game that that's what's going to bring them back. As well as they literally have Will Anderson. Like, he could probably end up being one of the best football players we've ever seen, pending no injury. Knock on wood. You know, the sky is the limit. I know they always say that for Alabama, but I really think it is. There's going to be some teams that really create them a lot of trouble, like Texas A&M, because, you know, Nick Saban did say they buy their players. So that's going to be drama there, and we're all going to mark that game down on our schedules because we will be tuned in. As my predictions for the teams in the college football playoffs is Alabama, Michigan State, Ohio State, and Notre Dame. I know nobody saw that coming. And I chose these four teams because they're kind of the four teams at the top of their conferences. And I think it's bound time that Notre Dame finally gets their chance in the college football playoffs. One, because I want them to get in just so that we can be like, we can have the storyline of the independent team getting in. Last year, we had the storyline of the non-Power 5 getting in with Cincinnati. So I think it's time we just get this last variable in there and so the conversations can be over. And even if these four teams do not get in, I do think there are going to be teams from the same conferences, at least two, making it in there, like we saw last year with Georgia and Alabama from the SEC. I do think that we're going to have a pretty boring semifinal, like usual, and then a astronomical, crazy, exciting, fun time of a championship game. And I do think there's going to be a wildcard team. And that's why I put that Notre Dame in that wildcard spot, because we've kind of had that. Now, there will not be a non-Power 5 school in there because I just don't see it happening. Like, you let it happen one time, and I think the wildcard craziness is going to take up that place with Notre Dame or another kind of, you know, team you didn't see coming in the Power 5, because we just had so much drama. And again, if we get Notre Dame in there, that independent school, we can stop all this who knows what's happened situation we got going on in college football. And my very last prediction is going to be who's going to win the Heisman. And again, this is a pretty layup answer I'm choosing here, and I'm going with CJ Stroud. Why am I going with CJ Stroud? Because I feel like CJ Stroud is bound to have a really good season, pending no injuries, knock on wood. And I do think Will Anderson is, if he can play up to that potential we saw last year, and possibly, you know, now that he's going to be a third year, he's going to be, you know, this is his final year in college football, because we all know he's going to get paid next year. I think that him and CJ Stroud are really going to be the top two runners. Who knows? Might be a quarterback, coordinators, who knows? That can, you know, just sneak on in there and possibly win it. But these are my predictions for this year's college football season. Let me know down in the comments yours, as well as, did you like this style of video? This is kind of like podcasty, me just rambling through my thoughts in a semi-organized fashion. Make sure to check out my entire college sports playlist. It has college football, basketball, all that good stuff in there, as well as subscribe and hit the bell to be notified every time I post a new video, which are on Mondays at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up or a thumbs down, because it's still your thumb. And remember, don't be afraid to join the convo. Did y'all know that Colorado was in the Pac-12? I did not know that. Like, I don't know where I thought Colorado was, but Pac-12 was not it.